Good, happy Wednesday evening, January 13, 2021. I'm Riley King, and welcome to this Wednesday evening edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. We have a lot of news to get to this Wednesday evening, so let's begin. First up, we begin with breaking news. We are getting breaking news that is coming right into our newsroom right now. Trump condemns Capitol violence a week after riot. He faces second impeachment trial. 1 week after his supporters stormed Capitol Hill in a deadly riot, and hours after his second impeachment in the House, President Donald Trump on Wednesday delivered his clearest condemnation yet of the January 6th violence. I want to be very clear. I unequivocally condemn the violence that we saw last week. Violence and vandalism have absolutely no place in our country and no place in our environment and movement. Trump said in the video posted by the White House's official Twitter account. And let's take a look at that video right now.
My fellow Americans, I want to speak to you tonight about the troubling events of the past week. As I have said, the incursion of the U.S. Capitol struck at the very heart of our republic. It angered and appalled millions of Americans across the political spectrum. I want to be very clear. I unequivocally condemn the violence that we saw last week. Violence and vandalism have absolutely no place in our country and no place in our movement. Making America great again has always been about defending the rule of law, supporting the men and women of law enforcement, and upholding our nation's most sacred traditions and values. Mob violence goes against everything I believe in and everything our movement stands for. No true supporter of mine could ever endorse political violence. No true supporter of mine could ever disrespect law enforcement or our great American flag. No true supporter of mine could ever threaten or harass their fellow Americans. If you do any of these things, you are not supporting our movement. You are attacking it, and you are attacking our country. We cannot tolerate it. Tragically, over the course of the past year, made so difficult because of COVID-19, we have seen political violence spiral out of control. We have seen too many riots, too many mobs, too many acts of intimidation and destruction. It must stop. Whether you are on the right or on the left, a Democrat or a Republican, there is never a justification for violence. No excuses, no exceptions. America is a nation of laws. Those who engaged in the attacks last week will be brought to justice. Now I am asking everyone who has ever believed in our agenda to be thinking of ways to ease tensions, calm tempers, and help to promote peace in our country. There has been reporting that additional demonstrations are being planned in the coming days, both here in Washington and across the country. I have been briefed by the U.S. Secret Service on the potential threats. Every American deserves to have their voice heard in a respectful and peaceful way. That is your First Amendment right. But I cannot emphasize that there must be no violence, no law-breaking, and no vandalism of any kind. Everyone must follow our laws and obey the instructions of law enforcement. I have directed federal agencies to use all necessary resources to maintain order. In Washington, D.C., we are bringing in thousands of National Guard members to secure the city and ensure that a transition can occur safely and without incident. Like all of you, I was shocked and deeply saddened by the calamity at the Capitol last week. I want to thank the hundreds of millions of incredible American citizens who have responded to this moment with calm, moderation, and grace. We will get through this challenge, just like we always do. I also want to say a few words about the unprecedented assault on free speech we have seen in recent days. These are tense and difficult times. The efforts to censor, cancel, and blacklist our fellow citizens are wrong, and they are dangerous. What is needed now is for us to listen to one another, not to silence one another. All of us can choose by our actions to rise above the rancor and find common ground and shared purpose. We must focus on advancing the interests of the whole nation, delivering the miracle vaccines, defeating the pandemic, rebuilding the economy, protecting our national security, and upholding the rule of law. Today I am calling on all Americans to overcome the passions of the moment and join together as one American people. Let us choose to move forward united for the good of our families, our communities, and our country. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America.
Okay, that video came from the White House Twitter account and things. The 5-minute video, which appears to show Trump speaking from the resolute desk of the Oval Office, arrived as the president faces an upcoming trial in the Senate. The chamber's Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, a Republican from KY, has said he is undecided on how he will vote in that trial. The message also comes as federal authorities and the Attorney General of District Columbia have not ruled out prosecuting Trump for inciting the mob of his supporters who invaded the Capitol. The president's own account had been permanently suspended by Twitter days earlier in response to his initial reactions to the invasion of the Capitol. As his supporters steamed into the Capitol, drilling a joint session of Congress shortly after it began, the process of confirming President-elect Joe Biden's victory, Trump tweeted an attack on Vice President Mike Pence, who is presiding over the event. Trump had pressured Pence to try to overturn the election results and happened additional pressure on his VP during a rally before thousands of his supporters outside the White House just before Congress convened to confirm the Electoral College votes. Many of those supporters walked directly to the Capitol following the president's speech. That same day, in the video posted to social media, Trump urged his followers to go home while once again spreading the false conspiracy that the election had been stolen from him. Democrats moved with unprecedented speed to draft an article of impeachment against Trump for inciting the insurrection on Wednesday's afternoon. The article passed in a 2-32 to 197 vote, with 10 Republicans voting to impeach Trump. And this is a breaking news story Be sure to stay with the Riley King Network for the latest of this breaking news story. And let's take a look at your COVID-19 dashboard from Johns Hopkins University of Medicine. Let's take a look at that right now. And here is a look at that for all of you right now. Your global cases are 92,162,781. U.S. cases are 23,029,450. Your global deaths are 1,974,091. U.S. deaths are 383,939. That's a look at your Johns Hopkins University and COVID-19 dashboard. Authorities tracking multiple threats for a week of surge after Capitol breach. Law enforcement sources warn violent extremists could pose a grave danger. ABC News has received an exclusive detailed look at the area of political threats federal authorities are tracking in the days leading up to the presidential inauguration. Here are all the House Republicans who voted to impeach Trump. Let's take a look at that list of the 10 Republicans who went against President Donald Trump. Rep. John, a Republican from New York. Rep. Adam Kinzinger from Illinois. Rep. Jamie Butler, Republican from Washington. Rep. Dan, a Republican from Washington. Rep. David, a Republican from California. Rep. Peter, a Republican from Michigan. Rep. Tom Rice, Republican from South Carolina. Fred Upton, Republican from Michigan. Rep. Anthony Golez, Republican from Ohio. And Rep. Liz Cheney, a Republican from Wyoming. And those are the 10 Republicans that went for impeaching Trump in the House vote today. House vote to impeach Trump becomes only president to be impeached twice. The House of Representatives has voted to impeach President Trump, making Trump the only president in American history to be impeached twice, 2 times. 10 Republicans have sided with Democrats in the ongoing vote for impeachment, with the count currently standing at 225 to 194. 217 votes were needed to impeach the president. House lawmakers charged Trump with 1 article of impeachment for incitement of insurrection, citing his role in the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. While House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has declined to say publicly when the House will send the article over to the Senate, a source involved in the Democratic leadership deliberation told ABC News earlier Wednesday Pelosi plans to send the article to the Senate next week. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell's office confirmed earlier in the day that the Senate will not return early for an impeachment trial, so the earliest the trial could start is January 19th, a day before Biden's inauguration. New York City canceled all contracts with Trump Organization. Mayor Bill de Blasio said the move is in response to the Capitol insurrection. New York City is serving its contracts with President Donald Trump's enormous company, a move that could cost the outgoing president millions of dollars in response to his role in citing the Capitol insurrection. Powerball jackpot hits $550 million as Mega Millions grow to $750 million. Another night, another chance to win the giant lottery jackpot. And let's take a look at your U.S. stock market and see how the U.S. stock market closed for this Wednesday evening. And here is a look at the U.S. stock market for all of you for this Wednesday evening. Dow Jones Industrial Average closed in the red and went down. NASDAQ closed in green and went up. S&P 500 closed in green and went up. Gold closed in the red and went down. Oil closed in the red and went down. U.S. 10-year closed flat. Euro/USD closed in the green and went up. And VX closed in the red and went down. And we're going to switch gears now. Let's take a look at the weather across the United States for this evening. And here's a look at the weather across the United States for this evening. Boston, 30 degrees. Washington, D.C., 29 degrees. Atlanta, 30 degrees. Jacksonville, Florida, 40 degrees. Tampa Bay, Florida, 51 degrees. And Miami, Florida, 61 degrees. Dallas, Texas, 41 degrees. Las Vegas, 42 degrees. Phoenix, 43 degrees. Los Angeles, 53 degrees. And San Francisco, 48 degrees. That is a look at the weather across the United States for you for this evening. And that does it for this evening edition of the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all have a great rest of your evening. I'll see you back here tomorrow for another newscast. And I'll have a news report coming up in a little bit. Good night and goodbye, everyone.